Soft shell crabs and Negronis, that's right, married into one dish. That is a Negroni sauce on soft shell crabs. Do you think I just broke the internet? I think I did. Okay, spilled milk fans, here we go. You ready for this? Negronis, best drink of the summer. Classic cocktail really any time of year. Madeline is shaking her head. Yes, she loves nice Negroni. Soft shell crab, the harbinger of spring to me. Morels, asparagus, soft shell crab. But I eat soft shell crabs well into what we call the summer months. Like right now, there really is nothing better. These were live primes before I cleaned them. We've removed the lungs, those little feathery pieces that are there, and just snipped away the eyes that some people find objectionable. I have a pan preheated right over here, and I'm just gonna put 2 tablespoons of butter into there because I want to have enough fat that I'm actually frying in there. And then that brown butter with all of those juices from the crabs are going to be the foundation of my sauce. I'm going to turn this up. And while that's melting, I'm going to use the back of my knife and I'm going to crush some pistachios. And once you crush them just a little bit like that, they're then safe to chop. Because if you start chopping them while they're round, you run the risk of slipping and cutting yourself. And I want to chop these as opposed to grind them, so I get some nice crunchy bits in there. These are already really, really well toasted. I love the flavor of pistachio with this dish, and I also love the texture of pistachio with this dish. If you have hazelnuts, try it with that. They work well. Even pecans work well, but pistachios with this brilliantly colored. So you're gonna love the look of this sauce. It eats deliciously, but it's super gorgeous too. All right, flour. Some people like to season their flour. I find when I'm doing like fried chicken, it's a must. When I'm dredging fish, it's a must. When I'm dredging anything, it's a must. But with something like soft crabs, I find it better to make sure that I just have some salty coverage on all of it because they're so moist on the outside. And I'm gonna put black pepper on top of those as well. This stuff adheres to the crab so well. I'm gonna season again when it comes out of there, so I'll have a lot of opportunity for that. I love soft crabs. And for those of you that have never cooked or eaten them before, this is a Maryland blue crab, right? Hard shell that once a year sheds its shell. So it digs its claws into the silty bottom of the Chesapeake Bay and it walks backwards. It wiggles out of its own shell. One of the coolest foods in the world. And I'm doing these in the style of the Miller à la Meunière. And you lay them in when you first start to see those tiny little bubbles coming up there. And the reason that I lay them in so quickly like that is that if you put them in too hot a pan, you get too many explosive spatters. There's a lot of liquid in these soft shell crabs, right? A lot of water. And so when you deep fry them or shallow fry, as opposed to sauteing, but even when you saute, you run a tremendous risk of getting a lot of pops and pings from the water exploding inside of these delicious little crustaceans. And I have room for 6 in here. By the way, you notice that I have these really cheap school sort of art trays. You can buy them on the internet. It's a cook's best friend. If you love to cook and don't have a lot of these trays lying around, you should, because cleanup for anything is a breeze, and you always need them for vegging or seasoning stations, and they work really, really, really well. So, dust off our hands, raise this up a little bit. Now that everything is in there, we've dropped the temperature by putting the cold seafood in there. When they come out, capers, lemon, chopped parsley and tarragon. I've left the tarragon leaves whole. You can just tear them up if you don't want sort of bigger ones, but I like bigger pieces of the leaf. I have a couple tablespoons of chopped parsley. I've got my pistachios, and obviously, Negronis made with gin or vodka. I've seen a lot of different versions, but primarily those two. Campari and sweet vermouth. And so what I like to do is I like to add in this recipe equal parts, just like a tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons of each, and I'll add another little knob of butter and some lemon juice to bring all those flavors together. If you look here in the pan, we're sauteing right now in butter. The butter is browning. The flour is going to help tighten that sauce and thicken it when we finally add our liquid ingredients. And now all we do is sit around and wait for them to brown in one side. 3 to 4 minutes on the first side, and then 2 minutes on the other side, and a prime size soft shell will be absolutely perfectly cooked. Well, those are about as perfect as soft shell crabs get. I'm not gonna lie to you. The giant truck that pulls up here every day didn't have my shallots on it. When I deglaze a pan like this, typically I'll put a tablespoon of minced shallots in there as well. If you don't have it, you can use an onion. If you don't have any, I would encourage you to still make the dish like we're doing here. But when the crabs come out, we're gonna work real fast. So I sort of wanna get ready for that. It's not like wok cookery where you have to have everything sort of mise en place, but you don't want to be scrambling at the last minute for a little strainer for squeezing lemon juice or cutting herbs or nuts or opening bottles while something is overcooking in a pan, because it happens rather quickly. And I'm going to stack my crabs on this plate much in the same way that I did on the tray before I put them in there. You can serve them family style if you like. You can put them on individual plates and go more restaurant style, but I really like doing this family style. And there is browned butter in there, and now I'm adding a little more fresh butter in there. And I'm gonna cook my capers, my herbs. I'm gonna hold back a little parsley just for the end, just so I have some nice fresh parsley to sprinkle on there. The smell of that tarragon, that anise flavor as it goes there is just absolutely divine. Now my lemon juice. You always want to, crab is a relatively rich seafood, and we have that butter in there, so you want to have some nice acid to add there. If you don't have any fresh lemon juice, you can add some wine, you can add some champagne vinegar or any other good kind of vinegar that you have. And then just a little bit of that sweet vermouth, an equal amount of Campari. So we have sweet, we have bitter, we have sour. The butter is gonna supply us with our sweet. And I add that one last little pat of butter in there, because as this reduces, I want that yummy, rich butter feel in there. And I want that last teaspoon of butter to help us season our sauce a little bit too. I want that to help round out all the flavors there and thicken the sauce, which it will. And I just increase the heat, let some of that liquid evaporate and let the sauce tighten up. Those are resting. They're actually still cooking a little bit now. This will just take a second or two. I want this nice and tight. So be patient. It doesn't take very long. Just be patient. Remember what I told you about that stunning looking sauce? Look at how gorgeous that is. Oh, looks beautiful. I know how it tastes, which is why I can't wait to dive in to more of this. Fresh soft shell crabs, so much better than frozen. Perfect complementary sauce, a little sweet, a little bitter, a little tart. The herbs are fantastic, the crunch of the pistachios. This is a winner. Do it with any kind of fish or seafood, but please try it with soft crabs. Negronis and soft crabs, perfect, perfect summer matchup.